this hour. Unfortunately, we have a little delay. And I want to thank you all to choose this session. I'm sure you will learn a lot. So why are we here? We're going to do a session on quote to cash in maximum 25 minutes. We will have some time left for a Q&A. Does everybody hear me all right with the mic? Sorry, the back. Perfect. So from quote to cash in 25 minutes, my name is J.Vandevelde. I'm a senior consultant at Foresee Consulting. And I've brought Joost van Elsuwé, who is a certified CPQ specialist, with us for the configuration. And the goal of today is to show you from an admin's perspective or a product manager. Once you have installed quote to cash from Salesforce, so it exists out of two things, CPQ and billing. Once you have installed that, it's really easy to create new configurable bundles in Salesforce so that your users can easily sell and quote to your customers, make as less mistakes as possible, and that's a bit the goal of today. Afterwards, when we created our first bundle, we will create a bundle specifically for French Touch together. We will test it as an end user, so you will go through the CPQ part, create a quote, generate a quote, send it to the customer, make him sign it, or not make him, have it signed, have it built and ordered, and then hopefully also get paid. All from within Salesforce. And afterwards we will have a short Q&A. So I think we can get moving. Before we start, we have actually done this session multiple times already since March at Amsterdam World Tour. It started there, and it all worked fine until yesterday evening. Sorry for that. That's with the law of Murphy, I think. There's one small bug on filtered lookups in the package for the moment in Lightning. It does work in Classic, but it's in Lightning, and we wanted to do the whole demo in Lightning. So be warned, when we come to creating product options with the filtered lookups, we will need to switch to Classic to move on, and then get back into Lightning. So Joost already started without me. Okay, thank you, Joost. So we're creating, especially for today, a new PC that we are going to sell called the French Touch PC. And it's important that you see that Joost has chosen a configuration type of required and configuration event always. What does that mean? That means that when this product is put on the quote, the end user will need, it will be mandatory to configure it. So we will add some product options and stuff to configure the bundle. Also, we are adding a billing rule, a tax rule, and a revenue recognition rule, which comes with the billing part of Salesforce, which is very important if you want to use all the benefits of the quote to cash until you can send the data to an external system for the accounting purposes. So our shell, the product shell, the bundle, has been created, so the French Touch PC, and we are adding it, of course, to one or multiple price books at a list price of, especially for today, for 600 euros. So 2 price books, and we will use the Foresee French Touch price book. And now we are adding product features. What are product features? I think everybody that works with Salesforce knows in Classic the page layouts, and on the page layout you have sections. Well, features, you can see it like that. In the configurator, all the options will be divided into sections. So those are the features. And also important is with the number, the min options and the max options, you can already put some logic within those categories. Min options of 0, that means that it's not necessary for the user to choose one of those options. At the first feature, storage, you just put min options 1, max options 1. That means the user needs to choose one of the options, of multiple, and only one of the options. So that's a max. And exactly, that will render as radio buttons. Only one choice is possible, but the choice must be made. So now comes, is it now? Yes, it's now the possible bug is on this lookup. And yeah, the bug enters again. It doesn't find those features that we just created. I don't know why. So So I think he will try again, and if it doesn't work now, we're gonna just switch to Classic and create those options in Classic. It's just a related list, it's related records. We have no clue why it doesn't work anymore since yesterday. Caching, and actually it's a fixed filter from within the package. We can't change the filter or just remove the filter on the lookup. So yeah, that's an ugly layout, guys. By the way, don't work in Classic anymore if you can. Actually going pretty wild fan of Lightning, especially since the winter release now. A lot of features from Classic are also coming on Lightning, and it's almost fully optimal. So creating some product options. The first option is the hard drive of 128 gigabytes, which we put in the section or in the feature storage. And we have selected bundled, which means that this price is included in our list price. So it comes with our PC in the price included. We will actually put a second option, some more storage, the 256 gigabytes. And this one we will not put as bundled, because actually if they choose this storage, they have to pay extra, and the list price of this option will be added to the 600 euros of the list price of the whole bundle. Actually now adding a network card in our feature networking with a type of component. I think you did it also with the component type with the storage. Component means that it follows the quantity of our main bundle. So if I sell 3 PCs, I need also 3 network cards. I also need 3 hard drives. There are other options which won't be component, because they can have another quantity independent of the parent bundle. Our router Joost is selecting quantity editable, which means that the user will be able to adapt the quantity of the routers if he wants to sell them. So he can sell 1 PC and maybe 10 routers on 1 quote. That's not possible with the component type, because there we need to follow the parent bundle's quantity. Now in our accessories, the feature, Joost is adding a warranty, and it's required and also selected. Which means it is defaulted and it will always be sold. The PC always has a warranty of 2 years, so the user cannot remove it. It will be added to the quote and he can't remove it. Next up is in our accessories support plans. We will add 2 support plans, a basic support plan, which we will default as selected, and a premium support plan. But for the support plans, there's something special that we are going to do. We will add some option constraints later, because it has no use to sell both on 1 quote. Because the premium support plan contains all the benefits of the basic one. So we want to constrain our user not to be able to choose them both on a quote. And this is the support premium. And our Office 365, I think. Yes, subscriptions. So the last one that we will add to our configurable product is some subscriptions for Office 365. There it is.
Easier reminding.
Yeah, what you are used to. Product and quantity editable, because he can sell 20 licenses with 1 PC if he wants to. Those are the little cards with the serial numbers on. So, are we back in Lightning?
I can try.
Don't think we need. Yeah, maybe the option constraint could possibly be a problem. Hopefully not. So back in Lightning, it looks like that. We've got our features, we've got our options, and now we're gonna try to add some options constraints. Our option constraints is putting in some logic. We have 2 types. We have dependency and exclusion. So the first, same bug. Sorry about that. Filtered lookups.
Okay.
Two option constraints. So the first one, we will build an exclusion, I think. Yep. So only one support plan can be sold on the quote, not together. So you can't have the premium and the basic, so they exclude each other. And for that, you have two lookups that are really important: the constraining option and the constraint option. And you choose your product options. But for an exclusion, it doesn't matter which one is in the constraining and the constraint, because it excludes in two ways. The basic excludes the premium, and the premium excludes the basic. Our next example with the Wi-Fi router, yeah, this one, this is a dependency. And here it is really important. So the constraining option will be the network card, and the constraint option is the Wi-Fi router. Because the router cannot be sold if there's no network card in the PC, which is logic, it wouldn't work. So I think our bundle is ready to be sold. So now we're going to switch back to Lightning and cross our fingers. Normally everything should work fine now. So let's, we already prepared an account just to move along. Everybody knows how to create an account and a contact and opportunity. So we start from an opportunity for the community event, and our contact is Jean-Michel Bogoul. And we will create our first quote, which we select as a primary quote. Jean-Michel is the primary contact for it, and our opportunity. Of course, you can all pre-fill this if you want to with quick actions. You can pre-fill all the fields just to gain some speed. So when our quote is created, now we're gonna test what we created. So all those options, those features, why did we do that? So that's done because we want our sales reps to be fast, to create less mistakes or no mistakes, and to guide them while quoting for their customers. And unless the Wi-Fi is breaking down.
Sandbox.
Sandbox. Okay, choose a price book, so we choose the French Touch price book, and we will it. So when we click Add Products, we can search in our whole product catalog, and of course we should find our French Touch PC. There it is. So, and now because we said required the configuration type, when we select it, we are it's mandatory to configure it. So this is our configuration page, and now you see the result of what we have built. You see your sections, the storage section features, sorry, the networking feature, the accessory feature, going up. So you see that the min options in the feature of storage and max options of 1 results in radio buttons. So the user must choose one of both, but not both and not none. He must choose one. In our networking section, we had our Wi-Fi router, which was dependent on the network card, so it's grayed out. And once we choose the network card, we can optionally also sell the Wi-Fi router. And the quantity is editable of the Wi-Fi router, so independent of the package, we can put two Wi-Fi routers. The warranty is grayed out because it was required and selected. So it always comes with a warranty, and the quantity is not editable. Our support plans, so that was the constraining option exclusion. You can't select a support premium if you already have a basic. You can see that it's grayed out when you choose one of the other. And then we have, of course, our subscriptions, and we will sell 5 Microsoft Office licenses. So when we hit save, we are entering the quote line editor, and here we can set some prices. But important to notice is here we saw the bundled, our hard drive came bundled, so the price was included. And you can see that, so the price is included in the 600. It comes with a warranty, all the rest. And now we had two, I think it was a hard drive and the network card, that were components. So components, they follow the quantity of the bundle. So changing the parent quantity to 2, you will see that the hard drive and the network card also becomes 2, and that's not modifiable by the user. So it's French Touch, it's once a year. Let's give a discount of a whole discount of 75%. We do that especially because we want to pay later with a credit card, and there's a limit of 1,000 euros on it. And so we need to have the total amount less than 1,000, otherwise we couldn't pay.
As there are volunteers.
As there are volunteers to give the credit card. Okay, we will save this quote. And I think we will generate a document. Oh, there's an error. That's not. It's an error on purpose. So just to show that you can create also validation rules in the CPQ generator, so that your users can't make any mistakes. A contract needs to have a start date and it needs to have a term, so that's why without start date and the term you cannot save your quote. Now actually it should be able to save. So our quote is generated and we will generate a document. So actually CPQ comes with a default document generator, but only for quotes. And because we are also using DocuSign to get the document signed, we are using here 2 packages, Drawloop and in combination with DocuSign, to generate the quote and later also the invoice and get it signed by the customer. So it's just a basic quote, not really fancy for data purposes. So send it to DocuSign, and it actually our primary contact was Jean-Michel Mongoul, but with Joost's email address, so we can show you the signature part. So actually should enter. There it is. So now Joost is acting as the customer who received a request through DocuSign with the contract to sign. Yeah, it's in Dutch because our browser, we're from Belgium by the way, so that's why it's, the interface is in Dutch this time. So we've got our quote, sample quote, a logo on it, some text, our table, and then we can sign at the bottom. We will sign it. Really tricky with a mouse. It's more beautiful with a stylus on an iPad or something like that. And also Jean-Michel has a difficult name to sign.
Pretty good. I will never succeed in France.
It's readable, it's readable. So use it and sign it. And a lot of benefits come with using DocuSign. You can, once a document gets signed digitally, you can automate a lot of stuff in Salesforce, and that's what we did also here. So once the document is signed, the quote will get accepted, the opportunity will be put on closed won, the contract will be created, the assets and the subscriptions will be linked to the account, and the order will also be created for back office purposes. The only thing we still need to do is activate our order, so to finalize the order, and at that moment an invoice will get generated. So, where are we? So yeah, and it takes approximately 30 seconds, so I didn't speak enough. So there it is, got accepted. And actually our opportunity is now closed won, perfect. And do we have our contract? And our order is ready in draft, our contract is generated. And if we would go to the account itself, we would have some assets and some subscriptions for our Microsoft licenses. So there they are. Okay, perfect. And also some test data from yesterday and the day before. So what are we going to do now? Activate our order, which should generate a bill, an invoice. Ready? Boom. So our order gets activated. Actually, activating the order we use for provisioning purposes, sending data to ERPs or other systems or back offices to get all those things delivered to the customer. So our invoice has been generated, and we have the invoice lines, of course. And after a while, I think 10 seconds, the PDF will also show up. that all happens behind the scenes. So there's a PDF. There's not a little monkey behind the curtain changing stuff. It's all happening automatically. So that's also just a sample invoice. You can make it as fancy as you want with tables, logic, conditional pages between it. Let's say the customer received his invoice, he calls us and he wants to pay by credit card. So on the invoice we have a button that comes by standard with Salesforce CPQ and billing. And I think we have put one payment provider in it for our test, and that's Cybersource with a free trial API. So Joost is going to pay with his credit card an amount of 680.03 euros. Just putting in all the details that the customer tells us by phone. So don't try it at home. It won't work on real websites. So address. The good thing is that because we are also selling subscriptions, we can save this data, this payment data for later use. So if the customer a month later calls again, we can immediately get it paid by credit from his card. So the transaction has been approved. You had enough money on your card left. So that's perfect. The invoice has been generated and paid. So when we go to our account, we have a beautiful little graph in a Lightning component at the right, and we immediately can see that his balance is changing because he just made a payment. That gives you more information on the 360 view of the customer. You can see all the active assets, everything he bought in the past, his active subscriptions, you can see his payments. And of course, it comes with revenue recognition from Salesforce billing. So the billing rules, the tax rules that we put, and the recognition rules that we put on the product will spread the amount, the charges in time, and that creates some beautiful graphs. Watch out, billing, it's not accounting. Yeah? It stops here. So it generates all the necessary data to have an accounting system do the works, and that can be delivered. But from within Salesforce, everything can work with the billing package up until invoicing and getting the payment. All the rest is still in the backend in another system, and maybe in a couple of years Salesforce will buy another company that does accounting. So we did it, I think, in 23 minutes. Where it's within 25. So, are there any questions from the audience? No, it was very clear then. Perfect. Two possibilities, yeah. So the question was, when we put in the credit card, is it always when the customer calls you and you put it in from within Salesforce? It's actually also possible to put it in an iframe on a website, like an e-commerce cart or a shopping cart, the payment method. It works with the same APIs like Hong Cybersource, all those things. But this, the terminal button, that's from within Salesforce when the customer calls. Other questions? Was it interesting? Yeah. Sorry for the classic thingy. What was the most the bug? No. What was the most complicated part in the configuration? Actually, CPQ is a managed package. That's just click and install. You've got, in the setup, you've got a one pager with 5 tabs of configurations, just on settings, global settings. And then all the rest of configuration is actually creating those bundled products with all the checkboxes, and there are a lot of pick list fields and a lot of combinations possible. So grasping which attribute you need on which product option and feature is the most difficult part. But if you do that right, it's impossible to create mistakes for your end users. And that's the power of the CPQ part. Another challenge is deploying, because it's all data and not metadata. So if you create custom fields and maybe another object or other relations that you can deploy with the change set, but all your configuration, it's all data. It's records, related records, we need to keep those. So we have to do multiple import exports to your production environment.
Also note that 90% of the fields in this demo are in. We really work with a dumbed down version of CPQ. The possibilities that were much bigger than this.
I don't think they heard it in the back.
Didn't everyone hear me? I think the version we showed, actually 90% of the fields and the possibilities with CPQ within the product catalog configurator were actually hidden. We didn't show it all. We can't do it in 25 minutes. Know that behind the scenes there is much possibilities of configuring your products, your pricing methodology, constraining your sales reps in discounts and so on. And the out-of-the-box functionality is there are actually ways of when you come up with like approval scheme, customer scheme, came up with on the product object, on the product record for certain products, for certain business units, you have a percentage that you cannot go over. So the moment you start the quote, we know who the quote is being made for. We know who the sales rep is. He's a junior, he's a senior, whatever. So we have all that information and we can basically create rules to guide us to the right approval flow, to the right manager and so on. So we can actually make approvals and trigger it via logic within the CPQ. We can basically add an extra column showing an icon, all of the box functionality within Salesforce and say, hey, if you go through with this quote, or perhaps an error message like we showed with non-blocking, hey, if you go through with this quote, you will need approval, it will take some time.
I think we need to wrap it up. One last question. Wrap it up. Thank you very much for coming.